Bali, the epitome of exotic beauty. This is the island of gods, where extravagant carnivals are everyday life. People here are governed by faith, celebrating a unique form of Hinduism. It is said that paradise was invented in Bali. It has become one of Asia's top holiday destinations, the perfect stop for an ultimate journey. Even death makes a dramatic spectacle in Bali. Cremation is an essential rite for all Balinese. They believe that after death, only cremation can free the soul, allowing it to join the deities, breaking the cycle of reincarnation. At this point, the soul is redeemed and can enjoy eternal peace. This is typical of the way religion infiltrates all aspects of life for this Indonesian island, including gamelan music, which plays through all Hindu feasts. Life without religion would be unimaginable for most of Bali's 3 million inhabitants. For a guest to the island, it creates a rich sea of culture to observe and enjoy. Although diluted with a little Buddhism and animism, Hindu remains prevalent on Bali, an island surrounded by Islamic Indonesia. A feast is enveloped in acts of faith, with a profound acceptance of the supernatural, a spirit world of ghosts, gods and demons. Ancestors are regarded as Hindu deities. Much love is given to the creation of offers or oblations, made primarily by the women, using techniques passed from one generation to the next. In preparation for a temple feast, the whole community brings out offerings of flowers, fruit, and financial donations, not only intended to appease deities, but also to keep demons at bay. It's not the value of the offerings that count, it's more the care that went into making them. Colorful processions bring the people bearing their gifts together to worship. A parade of young people takes center stage, all dressed in the religious colors of yellow and white. Whole villages are drawn out to join the march, or at least watch from the sides. Every period of life must be marked with ceremony. In a coming-of-age rite, a priest files the boy's teeth. They believe that weaknesses such as envy and distrust hide in the teeth. With these weaknesses removed, the boy can be accepted as a civilized adult by the older members of his family. Animal-shaped coffins are laid out in preparation for a mass cremation. The Balinese believe that everybody should be burned upon death. However, they don't have much money, so to economize, they save up bodies until they have enough to split the costs of an expensive ceremony across the community. It's here, in the tiny village of Batu, that our ultimate journey begins, the very heart of Bali. At first light, before the temperature soars to its familiar 30 degrees C, families assemble at the cemetery. For a number of weeks, the bodies of the deceased are buried until the cremation can be paid for. But once they're ready, the temporary graves must be reopened. The body, which was buried in white cloth, is slowly brought back to the surface. To the Balinese, this is no sad occasion. The deceased is about to be given release into eternal life. To really get a taste of Bali, tourists must travel to Ubud, the religious and cultural capital in the center of the island. Today, the entire city seems to buzz with anticipation. The cause of this auspicious celebration? The death of a member of the royal family. Mobile gamelan bands will escort the carnival. With their mammoth cargo, lifters can only cover short distances in the scorching sun before resting, meaning the procession must wind very slowly through the streets. An enormous bamboo staircase is just one of 3 massive constructions that needs to be carried several kilometers to the site of the cremation. The second is a massive animal-shaped coffin, which remains empty at this stage. Shaped like a giant bull, it represents the elite. It's believed that grieving can hinder the soul's release, so sorrow is turned to celebration. The final stage of the procession, a cremation tower, the chamber containing the corpse. Its passing is hailed to mark the crossover to the afterlife. The coffin bearers must make constant turns to disorient the soul and prevent it from returning home. Even relatives of the dead are in high spirits.
I am Putra Sukawati from Ubud Palace, and I'm very pleased to invite you to come down to Ubud.
Our host, Jakorda Gede Putra Sukawati, Prince of Ubud, is cousin of the deceased. Yet even here in his palace, there is an air of celebration.
Where we are sitting now,
we are now sitting in the main building of the palace. Ubud Palace is divided into 9 courtyards. The courtyard is called Saren, and we are sitting here waiting for our guests to arrive.
The Palace of Puri Saren is a window on the past, on the glorious bygone days. The prince is the last in a line of kings stretching back to the dawn of a dynasty.
In 1710 or something like that, my family first moved here to Ubud. I am the 7th generation.
Indonesia is now a republic, and the aristocracy has no political power. However, the royal family has a strong influence on culture, including the religion to which the prince himself is devoted.
We, as humans, are reincarnated as one of the elements. The elements are water, earth, and fire. It is these which make the power of a human. This is our belief here.
Finally, at the scene of the cremation, coffin bearers begin to move the body. Everybody, including foreign visitors, is welcome to join in. The body will be relocated to the bull-shaped coffin. Relatives of the deceased circle the memorial, proudly bearing a picture of the dead. At this point, the deceased is considered to be neither earthly or spiritual, instead hanging in between, ready to make the crossover. Again, the corpse is shaken to confuse the soul and prevent it from leaving the cremation site. This will be its final resting place. Finally, the cloth-wrapped body is transferred to the cremation coffin, along with a collection of offers to the gods, before the flames engulf them. The colourful rituals of Bali have long fascinated artists. Trying to capture the event is hard work. The coffin was doused in petrol and is quickly ablaze. Even the towering chamber that carried the body is burned to symbolize the cosmos. Now, at long last, this royal soul can begin its journey into the spirit world. For those who have lived an exemplary life, cremation releases the soul to mingle with the cosmos. Those less honest will be given another chance and reborn. Unlike other cultures, the Balinese only believe in rebirth as humans, not as other animals. For the soul to escape, the body must be completely turned to ashes. Giant gas burners are brought in to speed up the process. But even with this help, the cremation can take more than an hour. A ceremony like this is very costly, setting the family back several $1,000s. Once the remains have cooled, the ashes will be collected and scattered out to sea. Prince Ubud's cousin will now live on not only spiritually, but in the ancestral portrait gallery at the palace.
Everybody will go through this ceremony, even if the person who has died is buried first. A few months later, or in some cases, even up to a year, they will be exhumed for their cremation and funeral.
Back in the cemetery of Blabatu, just outside Ubud, villagers continue to exhume their dead, finally ready to carry the costs of their cremation. The family painstakingly remove their deceased relatives from their burial clothes, diligently hand-washing every bone. Even if the death was some time ago, it's still essential to release the soul by burning. The Balinese believe that even the smallest bones in the body carry part of the soul, and for the deceased's redemption, every part of the skeleton must be collected. Everybody wants to help in the preparations, and the entire community is united in this solemn affair. There is both tenderness and community spirit involved in helping the souls find their way. It takes delicate teamwork, as each family assiduously gathers their bundles of bones. The remains must be precisely tied together, ready for later placement into animal-shaped coffins. In preparation for the move, white cloths and banana leaves are placed over the packages, which are carried aloft to the crematorium. A makeshift hut serves as a shrine where the bodies can be laid out for final goodbyes. For around 3 days, the families will pray for the souls, making offerings to deities. It's a serious business, laying a path for the redemption of the dead. Death is an important part of Balinese culture, but there is so much more besides, not least of which the expressive gamelan music. Back in the city, and the Prince of Ubud has given up his weekend to encourage this vital Balinese art form. The palace courtyard has been given over to 30 young, eager musicians and their band of 75 instruments. No sheet music is used. Every tune must be learned by heart. The prince's dedication to traditional arts wins him great admiration from his subjects. This is a regular weekend appointment, so he can see the young talent emerge. Gongs and xylophones dominate the rich cacophony. Heavy bronze plates are struck with a hammer to reverberate their sounds. From creation, the dynasty has championed national pride in music and dance.
We work closely with those taking care of the cultural shows, as there are also the subcultural elements which are connected to all the religious activities of our people. We are, well, it is part of our continuing heritage. My parents, even my grandfather, they were once amongst the people who took care of the cultural shows. We have been and always will be very close to the communities, participating in all the activities with them.
The palace has an open-door policy, welcoming both local and foreign visitors. It's so public that it's possible for tourists to wander in without even knowing that they've entered the royal grounds. Marina and Christian Zeilinger, a German couple, are on honeymoon in Bali. Unsuspecting at first, they were soon struck by its dramatic sculpture. Much of the island's architecture was influenced by Hindu Indians, but Chinese and Polynesian styles add to a unique Bali look. His Majesty is having a private audience in full view of the guests. There are few formalities here. Tourists seeking the ultimate journey will not be disappointed. But for the traveller, it's not just ornate gardens. There can be new surprises around every corner. Traditional dance is mastered from a tender age, another art patronized by the prince. Bali boasts 200 distinctive dances, each a display of precision. Guests might even be lucky enough to have a face-to-face with His Highness. The prince is well educated, having studied economics in Switzerland. He's even able to chat to the German tourists in their native tongue, explaining to them that children gather in the palace to dance 3 times a week. Both boys and girls are expected to dance. To Western eyes, the movements might seem effeminate, but they're deceptively difficult, requiring tremendous coordination and strength. The training is necessarily rigorous. The boys depict fearsome battle scenes. The prince explains that his role of guardian of the arts has been passed down from his grandfather, who saw it as advancement of culture. Musicians begin to learn their craft at 6 years old, but for the dancers, training begins at the tender age of 4. Despite the influx of tourists, the Balinese proudly maintain their cultural identity, something that no visitor can overlook. To contrast with the palace walls, we journey north into the country. This is the picture postcard view of Bali. Lush green paddy fields, to the Balinese a gift from the gods. Rice. Troops of ducks are allowed to patrol the pasture, hunting out invading insects that might threaten the crop. The mild climate, humid monsoon and supercharged volcanic soil make Bali a rice heaven, and it thrives. The paddy fields are so rich they can give 2 crops a year and have been harvested in this way for centuries. For visitors, it is easy to wander the island alone, and the rice fields provide hours of exploration. This is the rich green heart of Bali, a must-have experience for an ultimate journey. The best time of year to visit is April to September, when there is less rain and lower humidity, making walking more comfortable. Harvesting rice requires back-breaking hours of toil. The farmers can't afford machinery and work the fields by hand. They often form cooperatives, sharing water resources. It's a simple lifestyle, but rice farming means spending most of your time in some of the richest, gaudiest and most exotic hues imaginable. Volcanoes dominate the landscape, although there hasn't been a serious eruption since the 1960s. This turbulent past has enriched the soil, promoting rice growth today. Because so much of the island has been cultivated, little remains of the native wildlife. However, a few species have special social standing. The Balinese or long-tailed macaques are considered holy and enjoy special protection. And that's not all they enjoy. The boisterous monkeys have become a tourist magnet, and luckily for the primates, visitors tend to bring gifts. Holy animals they may be, but virtuous and angelic they are not. They have come to expect food, even demand it, so you better not come empty-handed. And now for the showstopper. Bali is perhaps best known for its monumental stone statues. The most famous stonecutters are in Batu Balan. Renowned for their sculptures, they specialize in freestanding images using a distinctive rough grey lava stone. The demonic gargoyles watch over temples, deployed to keep evil spirits at bay. Bali is sometimes known as the Island of 1,000 Temples, but even this is an understatement. Bali boasts an incredible 20,000, on average 28 per square kilometre. Huge houses for the gods, varying in size, complexity and design, each an image of beauty. The temples belong to and are looked after by the whole community. They're central to the villagers' daily lives, their prayers and arts. For Komang Sri Desyana, dancing is not just a hobby, it's her life. It's not about personal pleasure. She dances for the delight of the gods. For every generation of Balinese, music, dance and religion are inseparable. Komang Sri Desyana, nicknamed Dayasi, and her dance team prepare for their next performance. Makeup and costume take over an hour to apply. Like most dancers, she can't afford the finery and borrows her costumes. This is the city of Klun Kung, and Dayasi's dance will mark the start of a temple feast. At 24, Dayasi has had many years of practice. Like most dancers in Bali, she started young.
We perform dances like the Revang, which are very old, but also newer ones like the Dance of the Birds. I was 4 when I started dancing, and I think it's really important for children to become familiar with our traditions as early as possible.
The gamelan band counts her in. Concentration is intense. The placement of every hand, foot or finger has to be precise. Even the rolling eyes have been practiced thousands of times, ready for the perfect show. The dance moves have some peculiar names, such as tiger fending off insects or 2 blue birds swaying on a palm leaf. The moves themselves seem more poetic. It would seem that it was not just the gods who enjoyed the performance. This scene couldn't be more different, but this is Dayasi's other occupation. She lives in the provincial capital of Denpasar, working in a wedding agency. She moved here 4 years ago to study tourism and now organizes weddings often for Australian and European clients. The job gives Dayasi an income, allowing her to buy a motorbike to get around the city. With a population of 500,000, Denpasar is the center of administration. Modern and urban, not typical of Bali, yet not too influenced by tourism, and so still a unique destination. To Dayasi, a major draw of the city is its shopping. Like young people around the world, Dayasi enjoys nothing more than a shopping trip and meeting friends for coffee. Nobody is surprised that she dances in her spare time. For Bali's youth, modern and traditional values go hand in hand.
Of course, I love going shopping in Denpasar, as I originally come from Singaria, which is a small, quiet place in the north. I also like going out dancing, but I will always love traditional dance.
I will love you and stand by you. Whatever the future holds.
This magical wedding day for an Australian couple is the culmination of a week's hard work for Dayasi. The result? A tropical paradise in which the couple can declare their love. The day has gone perfectly, a great relief to all concerned. There is yet another string to Dayasi's bow. Back in the temple of Klun Kung, she teaches her dancing skills to her young contemporaries.
Our repertoire, which is constantly growing, consists of some very special dances. We practice very regularly so that we can keep improving and give our best performances. That way, people will enjoy our show more.
Dayasi gives a unique finish to every performance. The many young faces in the crowds clearly demonstrate that despite Western influences, traditional values live on in Bali. It's remarkable that young people not only embrace and master traditional dances, they also cultivate classics of their own. Every journey in Bali brings you to another temple. Everyone is welcome inside, but there is protocol, even for tourists. Everyone must wear a sarong, and for the men, a headdress. Ignoring this etiquette could anger the demons of the spirit world.
These are made from the colors white and yellow, which have a special meaning, as to us they are holy. They are especially important when we visit a temple, as you should only have holy thoughts. Immoral thoughts are of course forbidden.
Now they are ready to explore. Temples typically consist of 3 courts in a row, and each more sacred than the last. They make quite an impression on visitors. The tourists are lucky. Today marks the start of Odalan, a festival that begins with a procession and that will last for several days. Odalan is a very special time when the gods themselves are believed to visit the temple. The streets of Guwang become a train of color. Women march solemnly, decked out in their finery as a sign of respect to the gods. It's an incredible experience for a foreigner to be able to join in at the heart of such a spectacular and moving event. But that is Bali, a place where religion is openly carried through every part of life. The great umbrellas, perhaps symbolizing the gods watching over the crowds, draw in hundreds seeking a chance to be close to the deities. With thousands of temples across the island, there is at least one religious feast a day. Thousands of pilgrims descend and adopt the Hindu praying position, blossom between their fingertips to renew their relationship with the gods. Each temple has an anniversary every 210 days. The Balinese have a shorter calendar than the 365 days allocated to the Western year. This gives the people of Bali more opportunities to celebrate. While the festivals go on in the towns, farmers must keep up their vigilant gardening. Even the highest slopes have been cultivated. Sandwiched between Java to the west and Lombok to the east, Bali is less than 150 kilometers long and 88 kilometers across, almost too small to feed its 3 million inhabitants. For this reason, almost every meter of land is farmed. Hardly any wild landscape remains, but in its place, the island has developed its own unique charm.
Selamat datang.
Some small areas were given to a very different kind of development, tourism. A warm welcome to one of the island's most luxurious resorts, the Maya Ubud Resort and Spa.
We have a very nice view. Over there is the rice terrace, and the other side is the river valley view. If you want to experience a very Balinese feeling, stay here in Ubud area, so you can see the real Bali.
A trademark of the Maya Ubud is traditional design and elegant purism. There is a wide variety of rooms and garden villas, even a presidential suite. With numerous pools and secret gardens, this villa is the height of luxury, although you can expect to pay $1,000 a night for this bit of paradise. The combination of large bathing areas and tucked-away private pools creates a unique and exquisite getaway. Another highlight for guests is a spell at the spa and health clinic. On a picturesque bank of the river Petanu, the clinic has won international awards, and it's not hard to see why. Where better for a pair of newlyweds to restore mind and body? The tropical waters of the river Petanu are alluring, but perhaps not as much as a bath of blossom. Whether honeymooning or not, the Maya Ubud remains a tourist hotspot and a perfect respite on any ultimate journey. A gamelan band once again strikes up to inaugurate a feast, this time for a wealthy clan living in central Bali. There is a caste system on the island, but not as strict as in India. People here are divided into 4 castes. But every young Hindu has the right to become an adult and is welcomed into the community. Today's celebration marks this rite of passage for 5 teenagers. Four boys and a girl nervously prepare. The climax of this ceremony is for their teeth to be filed, an act that will mark them as an adult. For girls, the ceremony usually takes place at around the time that her menstrual cycle begins. This ceremony, the metata, is the most important in the life of any Bali Hindu. It's one of the boys, 15-year-old Bapak Nurjaya, who's up first. A priest of the highest caste, a Brahmin, prepares to file the boy's 6 front teeth. They symbolize the 6 key problems that people must overcome: lust, greed, anger, intoxication, confusion, and jealousy. To drive these bad feelings out, they are literally filed away. It's a deeply affecting moment, particularly for Barpak's father, watching his son become a man. This is considered the discerning point when humans are separated from animals. Now, Barpak's soul is prepared to enter the cycle of rebirth. The process is complete as soon as Barpak spits the shavings into a coconut shell. Because of the belief that every part of the body contains the soul, the dental dust will be carefully stored in the family shrine. Some temples actually prevent people without shaved teeth from entering. To the Balinese, it's an important rite of passage. The 5 relieved young adults conclude the ceremony with prayers and a mantra. And now it's time to put those newly polished teeth to good use. Bali is well known for its cuisine. Ingredients grown in mountain farms are brought to market, and for any foreign visitor, the best market to explore is the rich and colourful central market of Candi Kunung in Bedugul. Rice, coffee, sugarcane, maize, vanilla, coconuts, fruit and tobacco are the main crops. For many, the rich fragrances of Asian cuisine are something of a mystery, but help is at hand. Any cooking pilgrims should pay a visit to Heinz von Holzen and his masterclass in the dishes of Bali. Heinz is Swedish-born, but has lived here for many years with his Balinese wife. He now owns one of the most successful restaurants in Benoa. Today, eager students gather to find out how he does it. Curries, satay, nasi goreng, sambal, the tricks of the trade are passed from master to apprentice.
When you visit the Balinese markets and pick out a chicken, the Balinese will hypnotize it for you. If you put them on their back and then stretch their head, running your fingers over its neck and chest, it should fall asleep and will lie like that for hours. Well, now it's going nowhere. There is also another way. Oh, hey.
And the show is not over. How to put a chicken to sleep, lesson number 2.
It's time for sleep now. Yes, it says yes.
Although some animals end up in the pot, there are some very special ones that will not, if Heinz has anything to do with it. Endangered green sea turtles are protected in Bali. Nevertheless, hundreds are illegally caught for food. Every morning, Heinz goes to market and buys all the turtles he can find. Over the years, Heinz has become known to local people, and they help him in his quest. It's a project dear to his heart.
I was invited to an abattoir to watch the turtles being stripped, and then I saw what they do with them in preparation. They turn the turtles around and cut them out of their shell while they are still alive. It is really brutal.
Ever since witnessing these cruel deaths, he has rescued turtles from the kitchen knife. Later, at high tide, he will return them to the sea. But for now, it's time for his students to put their newly acquired skills to the test. As high tide comes and the midday heat fades, Heinz takes his collection of stressed turtles to the sandy shore of Nusa Dua. he's already rescued 3,500 turtles from certain death.
This is the only way we can help. We can't do any more. Now they have to care for themselves again. But many people criticize us for what we are doing. We buy them from the abattoir and let them go, but the hunters go out and catch them again. It's true, but these animals are around 10 to 15 years old, so they've already survived for 10, 15 years. Who knows, in the next 20 years there may be changes, even here in Indonesia. And maybe then our children will have the chance to watch these turtles in the wild, not just in books in the extinct chapter. That would be a shame.
Although he can understand the criticism, he feels he can't stand by and watch. Also, by purchasing the animals, he's preventing local people from being persecuted just for living their traditional lives. The Indian Ocean has this batch of turtles back, for the time being at least. There are quiet, tucked-away beaches for a romantic stroll, but for a more lively beach life, try the south coast, a surfer's dream. Because of the small size of the island, it's easy for tourists, such as our newlyweds, to make their way from the center of the island to the coast. For lively travelers, Kuta Beach is where it's at, with long so-called tube rides breaking over the reef. Although the majority of the island's population are Hindus, most of the seafaring fishermen are Muslims. By the evening sun, Marina and Christian's honeymoon draws to a peaceful close. Bali shows that even a surfer's paradise has its beauty. Night brings mystery to the island. Strange rituals can be seen at the so-called kecak or monkey dance. This is a dramatic interpretation of a Hindu epic, Ramayana. The circle of men gradually sing themselves into a trance. The power of the trance is so great that the singers are able to withstand the heat of smouldering coconut shells. Because of its unique interpretation of Hinduism, Bali maintains its own special integrity. Ceremonies, from the monkey dance to public cremations, give Bali its mystery that lovers of the exotic flock to see. Because the Balinese surround themselves with religion and live free of bigotry, the islanders are friendly and welcoming. We have met only a few Balinese, and already their determination to preserve their culture is clear, while at the same time greeting outsiders with endless enthusiasm. It's for this reason that Bali has to be among the most attractive destinations for an ultimate journey.